It's playing day, Dub Nation. Yet another one. I thought I would tap in quickly with my quick keys to this Memphis Grizzlies matchup tonight in San Francisco. Obviously, just played them in what was a great game, Steph 50 ball. Number one on my list, stay composed. In particular, Draymond Green. He and Zach Edey already kind of have a thing going on. I think maybe Draymond said something in one of his podcasts, surprise, surprise. But Edey is a unique big man in the sense that he's got a mean streak in him. A lot of these giant guys, right, they're kind of docile and gentle giants. Edey, not so much. And he and Draymond, it feels like, have had exchanged technicals in all the matchups in his rookie year. And I think that Memphis is going to try to get Draymond to blow a gasket and get out of pocket like so many teams do. But Memphis has had more success than other opponents. And so that's my first key to this matchup. Second, Ja Morant is shooting the three ball well. He's hitting the grenade. And 37% the last 10 games, 46% when he plays the Warriors. Now, part of this is, we know, guys get up, especially these younger players, to play the Warriors and play Steph, right? And there's kind of this subconscious thing of like, oh, the greatest shooter, three-point shooter of all time, like I can do it too. Let me show you. But part of that 46% that he shoots against us is how we play him. Our strategy against Ja. Drop, a lot of teams go under because he's so explosive getting downhill, but we almost dare Ja to take the three, right? We give him the old Tony Allen treatment, like what we saw with Chris Dunn on Sunday. I think it's very important that we show him different looks. If we just completely back off and dare him, he's going to get comfortable and get into a rhythm and continue to shoot the three ball well against us. And you have to understand how Ja is wired. He's a big shot maker, big shot taker. And so end of quarter, end of clock possessions, I think that's where you change the coverage up. Again, keep him guessing a little bit because he will take and make big threes in big spots, and he's been doing it of late, and he always does it against us. Show Ja different coverages. Jaren Jackson Jr., to me, is their most important piece because of what he provides on the defensive end. As, former defensive player of the year. And y'all know this one. Y'all know what this is going to be. Get him in foul trouble. He is probably the biggest star in the league that has this problem consistently night to night. We did it in the last matchup, and I thought that was a big part of our success. Might not have mattered the way Steph was shooting in Memphis that night, but, it has to be a concentrated, conscious effort. Jimmy goes a long way as far as drawing fouls on guys around the basket. But team-wide, GP2, Pods, these guys, Draymond, when he's in the slot and when they get downhill, even if that means, okay, you might get roofed a couple times. He's an elite shot blocker, right? It may not work out every time, but if the others consistently attack him when they have a downhill opportunity, it's going to add up. And he's either going to be on the bench at the end of the game or having to play differently, having to play cautiously because he's at 4 or 5 fouls with 10, 12 minutes to go in the game. So make sure Jaren Jackson and his Achilles heel show up tonight in San Francisco, attack him, and be mindful of it. Desmond Bane, boy, he's a gunner, right? And he's a guy that, I think kind of, I don't want to say goes unaccounted for because has he made an all-star? I don't know if he's made an all-star team, but everyone knows he's a good player and he can 40 ball you on a good night, right? His built, the little gator arms, right, at a TCU. That's why he slid to the second round. What has he got, like a negative wingspan? But he's built like a truck. He's built like a football player. And so I think it's important to make him defend and spend a good amount of energy on the defensive end. Let those muscles fill up with lactic acid. And I think that he becomes far less efficient offensively when you're making him work really hard on the defensive end. And so attack him again, make him use energy. And I know you could say, oh, Ja has an endless gas tank at this point. That's why I don't say that with Ja. It goes without saying you want to attack Ja on the defensive end, right? Make him play defense. But Bane in particular, because of how big his body is, I think he can wear down if you make him use a lot of energy. And then Santi Aldama. Now, he's a guy that goes unaccounted for. If you watch Memphis, though, you know that he's been really good for them, at least offensively. And that's kind of been the shift with Memphis over the last 2 seasons or so, where remember when they used to be a top defensive team. Now they're a top offensive team and they don't defend as well. And the biggest like one-off shift from what it was to what it is instead of Dylan Brooks, you've got Santi Aldama, who is better than Dylan Brooks offensively, but not nearly the defender. He's big though. He looks all of 6'10", and he's skilled. And I think it's one of these KYP know your personnel things, because most guys in his role as the 4th, 5th guy option on a team don't have the ultra green light that he has. He's got an itchy trigger finger. He's gonna, and sometimes it gets swung to him on the second side, and you see the defender not have the urgency because like, oh, he ain't gonna take this. Like he ain't gonna take that shot, or even not the second side. He'll come down without someone else touching the ball and pull up. And so understand who he is as a player. He's got an ultra green light. And I think you sell out on him at the 3-point line. And I'm curious what it would look like to spring a couple traps on him. I know that sounds wild, again, when you're allocating your resources defensively, because he's not a top 3 option, but I'm not sure he knows how to pass or wants to pass. I know he knows how to pass, but again, he's a gunner. And so both he and Bane, they don't really want to pass the ball. And I think you have to understand that defensively, late in clock and in certain scenarios, and see how good are they if a late trap comes, right? They turn their back to the weak side. I think that there's some opportunity there. Before I get into our offensive keys, underdog. You can click the link in the description, use the code Alchemy, get a 50% bonus on your first deposit up to 1,000 credits. It's a really great way to support the channel. My picks for this one are going to be GP2 higher than 6.5 points. I expect Kerr to stick with him, and I expect GP2 to have a bounce back game and be more aggressive and assertive offensively. Shoot the corner 3, and he had a bad one. And GP2 is the type of guy that's going to bounce back. And then I've got Desmond Bane higher than 2.5 threes. He's such a gunner. He's going to take 7, 8 of them. And so those are my underdog picks. But again, the link will be in the description, and it's a great way to support the channel. I'll be having picks all through the playoffs for you. And there's going to be a ton of bonuses and boosts through this playoff run for the NBA. Offensively, you imagine they're going to be hyper-focused on Steph, like all teams are. But after the 50 ball, it's one thing for the coaching staff to employ a strategy. It's another thing for the actual players and how urgent and how much pride they have in trying to stop a guy. You imagine their pride's going to be on 10, their competitive spirit on 10 after Steph gave them 50, like just a week ago. And so what I would like to see is Steph on the ball playing point guard, looking to distribute and create advantages that way. They're going to top lock, they're going to trap, they're going to grab, they're going to hold. And I think away, especially early in the game, if Steph starts on the ball, it's harder to get away with it, right? When he's off ball, they can get away with more stuff, and we know he'll play off ball, but I'd like to see some point Steph, getting guys advantages in the paint. And then with Edie and Jaren Jackson Jr. in the paint, again, when I get both of them in foul trouble, guys cannot pass up opportunities generated. I've said that, I think, in the previous thing. Get into the body and look to finish when the advantage is created, because I think it'll rack up. Yeah, you're not going to finish all of them, but we're going to have to finish better around the rim. We saw the Steph, the Draymond, they smoked that. But yeah, I think point Steph to start things on the ball is the way I would look to approach it. And then down the stretch, play through Hemi. Play through Jimmy Butler. We saw it against San Antonio, and we saw it again Sunday against the Clippers, where I get it, Steph was hot. He was rolling. But when you ride Steph for every possession down the stretch, it becomes too predictable, and then you get the turnovers. right? When it's 4 or 5 possessions in a row and it's, where's Steph? We got to get Steph the ball. Give Steph the ball. Where he's hot. What do you think the defense is thinking? It becomes too predictable. And so down the stretch in the clutch minutes, I'd like to see the Warriors play through Jimmy a little bit more. It's still because it's still going to probably generate shots for Steph if we play it right, or free throws and getting their bigs up out of there. As far as the rotation goes, I expect Kerr to stick with GP2. That's why I'm picking him for having a bounce back game. Gee, I think, has played pretty well in this matchup. He makes sense as a bigger live energy body. But if he were to unleash Jonathan Kuminga, I think we could get a special night from him. And I'm not thinking about the schematics, the matchups. I'm thinking about just psychologically, personally, what we know from Kuminga. So that might be a card up Kerr's sleeve to infuse him into this game and for him to just go crazy. Won't be mad at that, right? But I'm not holding my breath. I think he's going to stick with GP2 and try to allow him to have a bounce back game, and he just trusts him, right? He just trusts him. But those are my keys, man. I'll be back after, hopefully, talking about this Houston matchup. It'd give me a couple days to give you a traditional full matchup preview against Houston. I'm also going to have a video on the Golden State Valkyries' very first draft pick. First, I got to learn her name. I got to learn how to say her name, but she's from Lithuania. I didn't see that one coming, but I am kind of excited about it. It feels like a sneaky good pick, and like they may have had their eye on her for a while, and we know the international players are kind of taking over the game, and there's a big international flavor to this first year of the Valkyrie in their roster, and I think that might benefit them from a chemistry perspective. But again, look for that video, coming up in this next week, talking about the Valkyrie and how their roster is forming up. Let's get it done tonight, Dub Nation. Let's get it done. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.